Michael Van Melanin and Sawadee. Since I've been living here in tropical Thailand for more than a year and a half now, I feel qualified to talk a little bit about the methods of adaptation to high temperatures and tropical climates. So since we're looking at climate change in the future or global warming, I think it's prudent to discuss the methods of that adaptation to high temperatures that you can use in the future. Who knows what sort of situation you'll find yourself in. There may be increased hurricane risks, droughts, who knows what. There may even be colder temperatures in some regions, but like as not, you'll probably encounter warmer temperatures someplace in your future life. So let's look at this. Rangers, if you stick around to the end of this video, I will share with you a survival hack that is well documented and you have probably never seen it before. So stick around. Now, I'm not a fan of the term survival as such. It sort of implies an air of desperation and drama that may sell videos or TV shows, but in reality, if you're doing it right, it's not drama. It's just a matter of adaptation. And that's what we're going to look at here. Just methods at adapting to warm climates. So I'm going to break this into three different sections. First of all, we're going to talk about your attitude towards high temperatures or heat. And secondly, your body's responses and adaptations to high temperatures, your physiological climatization or acclimatization to high temperatures. Third, we're going to talk about behavioral adaptation, what you can do as far as your choices in responding to high temperatures. So we're going to let's get going on this. Your attitude is how you think about something, in particular warm temperatures, tropical climates, and so on. And this can influence how you deal with other things in a material way. For instance, if you're fated to go to Alaska and spend the rest of your life there, you'd be wise to find ways to enjoy, in your mind, to enjoy cold weather. Find good things about it. Think about good things to appreciate it. If you didn't do that, all the time you spent in Alaska after that might be pretty miserable. You'd create a little hell for yourself. And that's why we're talking about attitude as a key to unlocking all the other adaptation strategies. I've got sort of an easy way of dealing with myself. I'm pretty well keyed into hot weather. Think about it this way. You're in temperate America. It's late May. You're in school. All you and pubescent boys and girls are staring out the window. And finally the teacher says, that's it, this is the final day of school. Have a nice summer vacation, see you next fall. And off you go into a 3-month period or so of relative freedom and adventures. And anyway, my connection to warm weather is to summer vacation. I think of it that way. So when I was first exposed to the tropics, well, I lived in San Diego, but I was stationed in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. I later explored the tropical Southeast Asia, and I fell in love with the tropics. And I enjoy the heat. I enjoy dealing with the heat. There's no picnic. You've got to have, like we're going to explore adaptations, but you start with the attitude. You've got to start with the attitude. That makes things a lot easier. To my mind, it's easier to, it's more enjoyable to adapt to hot weather. Simply put, you're going into the shade you're removing your clothing, you're drinking a cold beverage. And that, to me, that sounds like a party, doesn't it? So we've got a few new terms to learn here. Acclimatization. Acclimatization is the body's adaptation to long-term heat stress. We're just calling it physical adaptation for short. Depends on the climate that it's exposed to. There's also cold temperature acclimatization, but we're not dealing with that today. Now the militaries of the world have a love of sending their young people to deserts and jungles to fight and die, and so they've long been motivated to study the effect of the body's adaptation to heat. I guess the fear is that the soldiers would go to a foreign country and collapse from a heat stroke before they have a chance to engage with the enemy. So they made some studies, and many studies. There's been a lot of studies about this topic. I'm going to try to summarize a couple of the major findings, some of the useful stuff. Number one, it probably takes about 2 weeks of constant exposure to heat stress in order for the body to adapt in a meaningful way. Now, there's two of these meaningful ways that we're looking at right now. So one positive effect is that your body will sweat. It will sweat before you get too hot. If you're not normally heat adapted, you've got a good chance of overheating, and then your sweating kicks in when it's too late. And that's not helpful. So once you become heat adapted, the sweat will actually work more efficiently in cooling you off. Again, your sweat is not your enemy. It's actually your friend. People in temperate climates go, okay, I'm sweating, time to cut it. I can't deal. And that's not how you deal with hot weather. The second thing is that when you sweat, you will lose less or fewer of your, how do we say, electrolytes in your sweat. Normally you lose a lot of the electrolytes in your sweat, and when you become heat adapted, you will lose less of these electrolytes. So at the end of the day, you'll probably wind up feeling less drained, less sick, less oppressed by the heat. Those are two things right there. Now, the military, U.S. military, has got two bases in the Southern California desert, the USMC and the U.S. Army, and they send their people off for desert training. Now, I'm sure they do real desert exercises in the desert and learn to deal with the desert in many different ways, but they also run those guys through the desert environment and get them heat adapted before they send them off to, DFE, right? And if they're going to get heat stroke, they want to be in a controlled environment where they can be monitored and helped. Now, this is 2 weeks, and probably if my military experience is any judge, they'll probably have minimal exposure to air conditioning. All through the experience, they'll be, getting the least amount of cooling, so they get as much heat stress to adapt to as possible. This is kind of rigorous, but if you're in a hot environment like Thailand, it's not helpful if you're spending long-term here. I'll say that. If you're going to spend long-term here, it's not helpful to keep going to the air conditioning, because that'll negate your body's natural chances to adapt to the heat. So you got to keep the heat going, and after a while you start saying, "What is it hot?" And I notice, oh, it's over. Today This is the monsoon season, but for the last 2 days it's been clear and dry, and the temperature's going up to right about 100. The humidity is about 60%, and as you see, I'm looking for the shade. It's the middle of the day. I think it's around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. All the smart people are going to the shade, unless they're extremely heat adapted. There's people in the park here doing landscaping maintenance, and they're clothed appropriately. Let's evolve. Anyway, that's going to be later. Anyway, how do you get heat adapted if you can't go to the desert, if you can't expose yourself beforehand? One study I've seen mentions going to a sauna. If you have access to a sauna once a day for a period of 2 weeks, try spending 1.5 hours in that sauna every day for the entire 2 weeks. And once you reach the end of that period, you will have become as heat adapted as you can possibly get. Now, spending a whole hour and a half inside the sauna is not usually recommended. That's kind of dangerous. Usually they say stay in there for only half an hour and then come out and cool off. So maybe a modification of that might be, oh, you're going to spend half an hour in there, come out, take a drink, take a cool drink, then pop back in there for another half an hour. So that's 3 sets of half an hour apiece. Maybe that's survivable, maybe that's doable. I'm not sure. I don't have access to a sauna and I don't really need that, but if you want to experiment with that, let me know how that comes out. For my part, of course, I've been here a year and a half. I'm doing okay. I mean, I know there's people who live here, who have lived here all their lives, and probably their ancestors have been here for 1,000 years. There's maybe some genetic component there. I actually notice when the temperature goes down to below 70, people start wrapping up in jackets and they complain about the cold. So it's also a relative thing. If this high temperature is all you know, it's easier to tolerate that, I guess. But anyway, that is your body's physiological adaptation to hot weather. It's doable, and once you achieve that, you can start working on the behavioral adaptation, which is our next topic. Apply thermoregulation. Use your awareness of the local environment to enhance your comfort level. So as you'll notice, I'm dressed for the tropics. This is my old hat that I used to wear in hiking in California, and it still works well. Actually, it's impregnated with a chemical that repels insects, although I don't seem to attract mosquitoes here very much at all. The old rule of thumb still applies. Wear loose, light clothing, allow airflow. This one has a little vent in the back. And it kind of looks like I'm on safari, but you don't have to wear camouflage clothing. Let's see, I'm wearing shorts, but I do have a pair of trousers that I have zippers halfway up the legs, and I can convert those into shorts if I need to. And of course, I'm always wearing sandals here. This is actually a synthetic blend. Although cotton is definitely a good choice here in the tropics. We have a problem here called swamp butt. If you're wearing a pair of trousers that are made of synthetic fabrics, you may find your sweat is staying there and not evaporating. So you definitely want to allow your sweat to evaporate. And your clothing should be loose and light in order to allow that. Although I see locals here wearing blue jeans all the time, and for most Westerners that's not very cool and comfortable. Obviously, drink water all the time. Keep it going. That's what feeds the sweat, keeps it cool. If you're near water during the day, say if you're fishing or washing clothes or cooking, use the water. Yeah, I've gotten some sweat in my hair since the hat was on, and now that's going to evaporate and cool me through transpiration. So if you have any water at all to spare, you can put it on yourself and helps you cool off a little bit. Do your outdoor physical activities in the morning while it's still cool. Also, here they do it in the evenings. Although the evening temperatures are not nearly as cool as the morning, it's very popular to hold night markets, obviously in the evening. And it's not only a time when the temperature is a little cooler, but it's when, of course, the sun is not shining. This becomes somewhat of a tourist attraction because it's not very common in the West. I tend to discuss desert separately from tropics, and that's not really accurate because some deserts are in the tropics. It's shorthand, basically for hot, dry environments and hot, humid environments. Here in Thailand, of course, it's a hot, humid environment. But keep in mind, given the future climate change or whatever comes up in front of us, we don't know what the weather is going to be like. And I'm just getting you dialed in on warmer temperatures to learn how to adapt to them. Keep in mind, this video is not about Middle-earth fantasy. Smog is a real and present danger. I'm going to use an N95 mask to keep out particulate pollutants. This mask is made by 3M, and it keeps your lungs clean if there's a lot of pollution in the air, which thankfully here at the waterfall is fairly clean right now. Let's look at how the locals adapt to the weather here in the tropics. I need to add, though, of course, these people have been living here through their whole lives, adapting to what they've been exposed to since they were children. So keep that in mind. But also, there may be a genetic component there as well, as far as I know. So take these following observations with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, Father will take his shirt off and cool off in the shade. I've noticed Mother doesn't necessarily do that. People here take more than one shower per day. One shower in the morning, one shower at night to wash off the sticky sweat. 3 times is okay if you can arrange it, if you need it. For an urban situation, imagine yourself walking down the street. Suppose the street is running east to west generally. One sidewalk on the side of the street will be in the shade, and the other sidewalk will be in the sunlight. Now suppose your temperature is around 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Which sidewalk would you want to be walking in order to stay cooler? And now suppose the temperature is down around 20 degrees below zero. You'd be on the other side of the street if you were smart, right? Time to catch some rays. So you can also adapt this to the wind or the breeze depending on how you want to thermoregulate. The secret is just being in tune with your environment. SODIS is solar water disinfection. It uses solar energy to make biologically contaminated water safe to drink. The technique is supported by the World Health Organization and the American Center for Disease Control. Here's the principle. It uses ultraviolet light from the sun to sterilize water in a plastic water bottle. We're going to use an empty water bottle, and this needs to be a PET plastic water bottle. Make sure it's clean. Wash it out if you need to. These are everywhere in the landscape, so here we're doing not only recycling but reusing, repurposing. What you're going to do is take your water. This is water that is uncertain safety, maybe ditch water or something like this, but it needs to be clear. Cloudy water doesn't work for this. So if you have cloudy water, you'll need to filter it somehow before you use it. Glass bottles could be used potentially, but some glass actually filters out the UV light, so it's best to stick with the PET bottles that we see everywhere. Okay, now that you've got it mostly filled, and check to see if you can see through the bottle. We do the newspaper test to see if we can read the newspaper on the other side of the bottle. Okay, once it's filled, you're going to shake it for about 20 seconds. That integrates all the remaining air into the water. And then, this is the amazing part. You're just going to leave it out in the sun for about 6 hours. And after that time, the ultraviolet light will have sterilized this water and made it safe to drink. There it is. Again, it's supported by the World Health Organization and the American Center for Disease Control, and I will share you the links for these organizations below me. So thanks for watching. If you like this, go ahead and subscribe or give me a like on this video. Come back for more videos as they come in. Thanks again.